Do not take product if you are hypersensitive.
Hi, Boo-Boo.
Jean-Eva, welcome, darling. I'm so excited to have you. I'm so sorry that it took so long to get to you, but we're here now.
Yeah.
So we are here with Jean-Eva Dickie of JE Matchmaking.
Mm-hmm.
The only matchmaker west of Montreal, baby.
We'll say east, but yeah.
That's what I meant. You know, 4 hours of sleep don't work great when you're doing a 15-hour live stream.
There's so many matchmakers west of Montreal. I would not even want. I don't know if I could handle competition.
True.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, here's the thing. I'm just gonna throw a bunch of compliments your way. Because you are truly killing it. And like I mean that when I say that. I feel like that's a phrase people use so frivolously, but I truly mean, when this quarantine happened, you didn't miss a freaking beat. You were like, because I messaged you, I remember talking to you at the beginning of this, being like, oh my gosh, like all your dating events, like, are they canceled? And you were like, they're virtual now, bitch. Like, you didn't even, like, there wasn't even you didn't miss a beat.
I know, Trudeau didn't even come up for his first speech, and I had switched everything over, and then I had webinars on the go. Oh yeah.
So this is insane. So I want to know what was it like going from, so obviously you were used to doing in-person events, and then this whole thing happened and you adapted so quickly. What has it been like for you over this time?
It's been interesting. I mean, it's almost like a little bit of a psychology study itself, because when you move into something that's so emotionally draining for so many people, and then you bring something in like dating, which itself is emotionally draining, and then you're working with the singles in that regard, it's all I can do is keep the energy up just for everybody else. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So but no, it was a lot of fun. And my business model, if anybody knows me, is act and then figure it out. So I was literally saying to you, no, like they're virtual now. And then I'm like, shit, how do I make this virtual? You know what I mean?
Well, I think you said, you're like, no, they're not canceled. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, bitch is rolling with it.
Yeah. So I just say stuff and then I figure out how to make it happen.
But you truly did. And not only that, Jean-Eva, but like Jean-Eva is one of my favorite freaking people on TikTok right now. Your TikToks are so funny. Not only
They're
do
so much fun.
you do really funny ones, but you also do like the daily dating advice as well. So you've truly adapted to this new world in terms of the business. Like you're really killing it. I'm so proud of you and so freaking awesome.
Well, content is key right now. I mean, gosh, when, everything is so uncertain, content is key.
Yes.
And so I moved over to TikTok just for my personal use, because I was watching some videos that overlapped into Facebook and I thought they're so funny. And then I started doing them myself and it has made me happy. And I didn't think I love it so much. Like it adds so much value to my day that I'm living. And then I get to share it. And then people that I didn't even know I was friends with on Facebook are like, this is so funny. And then we have this huge influx of people coming into the book of love.
Woo!
Because of those videos.
That's amazing.
I know. I think it's just humanizing it. So like when you hear matchmaker, you think this prissy girl on top of a tower, judging all these singles. But in reality, when you kind of humanize it and just be like, hey, like, let's make this happen, people are really enjoying it.
And TikToks, like your funny TikToks, they make people relate to you, because I think you're right. There might be this attitude of like, she knows so much and I know so little, but really you're just one of us too. You deal with all the frustrations of dating as well. And you're open about it. And you've obviously learned from it and you have a bunch of tips and stuff, but like, you're right. Like relating to you on that level makes people put trust in you.
Yeah, it's true. How are you finding the single life during quarantine?
You want to know what? Like,
I don't think you're having a hard time.
There's been a lot of personal stuff. I'm like, truly, like, I'm a big extrovert. And so this has not been good for me. And I've been quarantining alone. And I get my energy from people and I haven't seen people. So Sarah's batteries have been dead. for most of this time.
Yeah.
But I think things are starting to get better. In terms of dating, I don't know. It hasn't made me go on the apps more, to be honest. I thought I might. I was like, oh, now that I have time, maybe I'll go on the apps more. And one of my biggest questions for you right now, like, would be, I think people are spending more time on the apps, but how do you have a good conversation when life is so boring? Like, when you're not working, okay? Like, you're not, for a while there, we couldn't go anywhere, couldn't see friends, couldn't see a bubble family. And I struggled with, like, I want to talk to people, but I don't know what to talk about. Because all I did today was lay on the couch and watch Love is Blind.
Yeah.
So, like, do you have any tips on how to start a conversation when there's nothing to pull from?
Gosh, I don't know. Like, I even think before quarantine, we shouldn't even really be talking about what we're doing in our day via text message anyhow, like Snorefest. Anyhow.
True.
What you need to be talking about is, like, sending funny memes, sending funny pictures, like making fun of each other, having banter just about each other's personalities. Like, to fill each other in on your day, that's picking up the phone and talking. That's going on a date and talking about your week, like, in person. If you're talking about that via text message, dating tip number 1, try not to talk about what happened with your day. Never ask, what are you up to? How's it going? What have you been up to today? It's just so boring. Like, you want to add value, be funny, have fun, make fun of people, flirt, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So I think that flirtation, the topics of flirtation are literally endless, regardless of how your days are going anyhow. Those are my thoughts on that.
You're so right, because nothing bores me more than, what's up today? Oh, not much. I got outside. Watched this show on Netflix. What did you get up to? Oh, same thing. Conversation's over. It fizzles out. It never goes anywhere.
Yeah. And fizzling out is the biggest challenge in today's dating culture. And I think it's just people have forgotten how to interact properly. Like, when you're not being creative, when you're not actually thinking about what to say to these people, it always falls flat.
Yes. Oh my gosh, it's so true. And you've done a couple virtual. I want to know all about this virtual speed dating.
That was fun.
Can you tell us all about this?
Yeah. Okay.
What's the process? Like, walk us through it.
This one was my favorite. It was technically only the only one that went through. So the younger one, I feel, was too early in quarantine, and people were very much like, they were still, And then the older demographic was hard, because it's always hard to get men, let alone trying to get them to come into a technological world and figure that out. So we had to cancel that one. We had to cancel the younger one. But the other one that we had, it was such high quality people. It blew my mind. We had 2 doctors on there. We had a dentist. We had 2 lawyers. We had somebody super high up in, like, the environmental stuff in, like, the government. And then, like, it was just jam-packed full of these quality people that never would have had enough time to come to a speed dating event prior to social isolation. So then they invested in themselves with this event.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So it was a Zoom meeting like we're doing right now.
Yes.
But each Zoom seminar meeting, you can have break-off rooms.
I love that.
So if there was 4 of us, you as the host could say, okay, Sarah and Jean-Eva, you're going to go in this room and have a private chat. And then Mark and Joe Blow, you're going to go over here and have a private chat.
And did you, like, were you the one who selected who goes and what?
So it was really fun. So we had everybody come in. They had to turn on their video, because you've got to make sure that everybody is who they say they are.
Yes.
And there's no
Oh no.
odd little images going on. So everybody had to turn on their video. We did like 5 minutes of introduction, and then I sent them off on their first date. 6 minutes goes by, and they automatically come back to the main room. I had this gal who offered to be a DJ. She threw on some music. Some people were dancing with their puppies and, like, you know, jamming and watching everybody. So, like, when everybody was back in the main room, it was like the first social thing that any of these people have done too. So they were just, like, so into it.
Oh my God.
And then after the 1 minute of being in the room, filling out your matching sheet, you go into another date. And you did that 11 times. So we had 22 singles, so 11 men and 11 women. And then at the end, they send me their matching sheets, and I send them the matches. And there was a ton of, like, friendship matches as per usual, but there was 4 major romance matches.
No way.
Yeah.
No way. And could you pop in and see any of the dates taking place at any time or no?
I could if I wanted to, but I didn't. I stayed in the main room and I just let them do their thing.
I was going to ask.
I wish I could have been Big Brother, hey?
I was going to ask because I want to know what flirting on Zoom looks like. I wrote that down as a question for you. I'm like, what does Zoom flirting look like? Because I have a hard enough time trying to flirt in real life. Can't imagine. I guess you got to look at the camera and
S shape, Sarah. I taught you the S shape.
Right? Oh yeah, S shape.
Yes.
I don't know if I'm doing it right.
Yes. There you go. Look at that cleave you got going on right there. That's flirting alone.
I would be so fascinated to be a fly on the wall for like a Zoom date because I know people are doing them. But like, I just wonder how that is. Like, in my mind, I think if it was me, I'd probably want to get on the phone with, like, if I met someone on Tinder or something, I'd probably want to have a phone call first and then do Zoom.
Yeah.
But I feel like a lot of people are moving right to Zoom or right to like FaceTime.
Yeah.
And like, I just don't know. I don't know. Like, what does a FaceTime date look like? What do you do? Do you eat dinner with each other? Like, what? I'm just. Oh my gosh.
One of the matchmaker dates that I sent out, he ordered Skip the Dish, his favorite meal from his restaurant, sent it to her. Well, I ordered it for him and he paid. So then I sent it to her address. And then he ordered the same meal for himself. So then they sat down on their date, had a glass of wine, and they opened up this meal together. She had no idea what she was getting.
Oh my gosh.
So like they opened up together, tasting it, and like, oh my gosh, this is so good. And he could explain why it was his favorite restaurant, stories about it. So that was like my favorite virtual date during quarantine with like the matchmaking couple.
Wow, that is so interesting. That's so cute.
Yeah. And then people were like doing tours of the Youve together. Netflix has like that party where they can watch Netflix at the same time.
Right. That's a good idea too. I think it'd be funny if someone ordered Skip the Dishes and sent it to a girl and like she opened it up and she was like allergic to shellfish or something. Like that would be bad. Surprise!
Can you send me your dietary restrictions, please, before this is done? Just so you know I'm allergic to everything. So it's like red flag, bye-bye, you know? But yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's so interesting because in my mind I was like, when this whole thing happened, and I'm such a pessimist and I hate that about myself, but I instantly went to, this sucks for dating, this sucks for people wanting to find love because like it feels like a pause.
Yeah.
It feels like it's very limiting. But in your mind, like what have singles been feeling? Like, are they more pessimist or are they more optimistic about relationships right now?
Oh, that's a really loaded question. I love that question. I would say, okay, so when the quarantine first happened, I had this influx of people that were in this panic mode.
Yeah.
Being like, how do I keep dating? How do I keep doing this? Yeah. And then there was the depression time, and that was around between March 15th and April 15th, April 20th, where people were just like adapting to the new normal of social quarantine. And I was contacting everybody in the Book of Love, so I have 500 plus people. So I actually called all of them within that month period just to see how mentally they were doing, to check in with them and make sure that they had the right frame of mind to move forward. And I would say probably only about a third would have been interested in virtual matchmaking.
Okay. That's still...
So that's the stats. They're still good though.
Yeah.
And it's understandable. I mean, this is exhausting. Men were super on board for virtual matchmaking, by the way.
Really?
Women were less so.
Interesting. I wonder what that is.
I don't know.
Like, I wonder what it is there because I'm the type to still get glammed up for Zoom calls. I don't know about you.
Me too.
But I still just, like, when I know I'm Zooming with someone, I'm like, I'm still going to put makeup on and stuff. Like,
you look gorgeous right now.
You look, and that's another thing I got to say about you. You've been looking real gorgeous. Like, you're always gorgeous, but I don't know. I feel like there's something going on with you. You seem extra happy and extra shiny and bubbly lately.
Maybe what's happening? Embarrassing compared to everybody else that's in quarantine mode. Maybe I'm just an anomaly out of the group.
You're like a ray of sunshine, seriously. Have you had any bad days throughout this thing where you've like just felt like totally down the dumps?
I had a weekend there around where that shooting happened in Truro because I grew up in that area. I didn't know anybody, but it was just like the fact that that happened it's in a place that I grew up in. That one put me down for probably 5 days. I could not get out of bed.
I feel you. Yeah, real bad.
Yeah, that was a bad one. And then like even just processing those feelings and then to try to communicate that. I did send out one post and I watched the memorial. And then that kind of brought me out of that. It allowed me to mourn that.
Right.
And that was hard for you. I mean, I remember going to your, what do you call that thing that you did at Sniggly Wiggly's?
The live show.
And our favorite, I brought my friend Zara. Shout out to Zara, best branding photographer in the city.
Yes.
Always do a shout out. She and I went there, and her favorite comedian was your friend that passed away just before quarantine.
Yeah.
How hard is that for you as well, losing somebody like that and then going into quarantine? I mean,
yeah. For me, I feel like I am just now coming out of what was a pile on of depression for 2 months, because it was friend dies, grief. Oh, also panic, also job loss, stress. And it just, I feel like now that it's sunny and now that things are starting to sort of become more normal, I'm coming out of it. But yeah, it was real bad.
Yeah.
Real bad. But like everyone deals differently and everyone handles depression differently. And it's people like you, honestly, that inspire me. To freaking get out of bed and make a TikTok or get out of, you know what I mean? Like seeing people like you who've rolled with this and made it a positive thing is so important.
Thank you. Well, next time I'm going to take a TikTok when I'm depressed in bed just to ground everybody a little bit.
Because it's just so easy to get negative. And like, this is something you and I have talked about a lot, which is like the mindset thing in terms of dating. And honestly, Jean-Eva, you've changed how I approach men.
Oh, good.
Like, I hope you know that, because there's things you say, I think, and even in your dating tips on TikTok, that some people might be like, oh, that's really real. And that's really, like, she really just said that like it is. But it's that she just said it like it is, and it's true.
Yeah.
Specifically when you talk about having value in yourself. And you posted a dating tip recently, which was talking about you have to love yourself before you can love everyone else. Saying or cliche that we hear all the time. And I loved your spin on it, because your spin on it wasn't that you have to be perfect, but you have to have purpose and value in yourself. And every time I almost make a bad decision, do you know what I hear? I hear your voice saying, you're not a woman of value right now.
Oh,
and because when you first told me that, I'll admit it stung a bit, because I think it was actually in one of your workshops that I was telling you about my issues with men who have commitment issues and, you know, all this. And you said a woman of value would never go after another girl's man. And it was like, Jean-Eva, like, but it stuck with me, and it's so true.
Yeah.
We have to learn these harsh truths. And I love that you just say it like it is. You don't beat around the bush. And so these dating tips, how have you been finding, the feedback to this, like these very like real, straightforward tips for people? Have people been taking it well?
Yeah, they are. And the reason that they're taking it well is because I'm not saying it directly to people. So I'm saying it to the world, which means that if you are there and you are in the place where you hear it for yourself, that may apply to you. But if you're not ready to hear it for yourself, you'll just hear it and not even relate.
That's it.
But when people are ready to hear it for themselves, and they will hear it in seclusion with themselves, so they won't be mad at me because nobody's seeing them realize this, right? So I'm getting a lot of far less following than like the funny ones. The funny ones are like my bread and butter, but you need to bread that butter before you really throw in the jam, which is the dating tips, right?
Bam! Oh, that's a good analogy.
I made that up right now.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So that was, I think I have people that literally wake up, they say they wake up every day and they look forward to the morning dating tips. So
I truly look forward to them, because I just love, there's so many cliches that we hear as single people. Yeah. And I don't want to gender it, but specifically single women. Yeah. We've talked about, what are some cliches that you constantly hear that you think are maybe not totally bullshit, but not like there's more to them than you think, kind of thing.
Yeah. My least favorite cliche is, once you stop looking, that's when he'll come. I'm not going to say hate, but I hate that one.
Hate it too. Hate it.
then you create this generation of people that are just like in this romantic movie thinking that they're going to walk down the street and drop their books and Prince Charming's going to be there with his blue eyes looking at her. And, you know, that's romanticizing the fact that you need to put a lot of work into finding a great partner. It's like, you know, it's like, I've said this to you before. It's like, you know, when you want to get healthy, you're not just going to like start eating carrots and go to the gym. You educate yourself. You go to a dietitian, you go to a coach, you go to a fitness coach, and you get it done. The same when you want a really good job. You're going to go to and spend a ton of money in school to get a career. The tripod of life is health, career, and relationships.
Yes.
So we're spending all of this on health and career.
Yeah.
But for some reason with relationships, we're all expected to just be born with these skills.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to then go want to educate yourself with that is considered desperate. So if men go and educate themselves on how to talk to women, how to interact with women, how to find a great partner, they're considered less of a man. Breaks my heart.
Yes. Yeah.
Breaks my heart. And then women are considered desperate if they're trying to educate themselves to find a great partner.
Thank you. Do you know how many self-help books are on I have tons. And we still got to do that book club thing that I do, because we both have thoughts on Getting to I Do, which is an old book from the 90s, but it has some really harsh truths in there that I think are still true today, even though it was in the 90s.
Which truth blew you the hardest from Getting to I Do? That
you have to pick one and go and stay in that energy. Because I teeter. I've realized when I was reading the book that I teeter on masculine and feminine. I want to be feminine. I want to be understood. But I approach in a masculine way.
Yeah.
And that's where conflict happens. And one of the biggest things I learned so far, I'm not done the book yet, from Getting to I Do, is the feminine, like we tend to think feminine energy is giving and accommodating and providing and nurturing. But really, like what she says in the book is like, feminine is also being like, this is the woman I am. This is what I want. You gonna give it to me? Oh, you're not? I'm gonna move on then.
Because feminine energy is the chooser.
The chooser, yes. So you say, this is what I want. Mm-hmm. If you're not down for it, then I will find someone who will be.
Yeah.
And it's as simple as that, even though it seems hard in the time. But coming to that conclusion of like, it has to just be that simple, because you can't like just wait around for someone to change.
No,
Biggest lesson.
Yeah, you can't.
And it's brutal.
So what do you think? Interesting question. Sorry, I'm like switching it around on you.
Yeah.
Coming out of quarantine.
Yeah.
What if you could design your dating life? What would it look like?
Oh my gosh. I gotta start flirting more.
Yeah.
I gotta
start. I thought you'd be like a crazy good flirter.
Well, I have a lot of guy friends, and I mean, like, you know, the question I was gonna ask you was like, how the heck do you get out of the friend zone? But I think a way to sort of dip your toe into getting out of the friend zone is flirting, throwing out some flirt vibes. And I think for the most part, I'm too chicken, and I gotta stop being too chicken. And you were with me one time at a bar when you were like, go talk. And it was perfect. It was a trivia night. We were there with another girlfriend, and it was in between segments. And you said, go talk to that group of men. Like, go just say a snarky comment or make fun of them or something. And I just froze.
Yeah.
And so my dream dating life is not freezing and being like you and still being feminine and all that, but approaching.
Yeah.
Because that's another myth I think we get told as women, which is like, if someone wants to date you, they'll come to you.
Oh, that's such a good one. And like when women say, if he doesn't have the balls to walk up and talk to me, he's not the man for me anyhow. Let me tell you, the men that do have the balls to walk up and talk to you, they're going to be the loudest, most annoying dude, and they just walked up and talked to 30 women prior to you, and you're just the only one that said yes. Like, if that's the mindset you have when you're going out, you're going to be sitting there looking pretty at the bar all day, and that's it, and then leave being mad.
So true. So that, like, freaking dance, that, it's just, I just think, you know, like, I'm 33, eggs are starting to die. I gotta start taking action, and like, if you're attracted to someone, tell them. That's another thing too. Maybe not like in those words, but like put out some flirt vibes.
Flirt vibes are definitely telling, and that's true. So I think striking up a conversation like at a bar or a social at a party, that is key. So you just need to do, a lot of people think that they need to approach and then stay there for 15 minutes and spend the entire rest of the evening with them and then go on a huge date. All you need to do is just say, what were some of the tips we gave at Wing Woman? What are you drinking tonight?
Yeah. The drink. Yeah.
Yeah. Or can you hold my coat while I carry these drinks to my girlfriends? It's literally like you are bridging, like you're breaking that ice. Yeah. But once that ice is broken, he will keep an eye on you throughout the evening. And when the next opportunity comes, he will be able to bridge that conversation.
Right. Exactly.
And then play like the coy hard to get if you want to.
You gotta like put little niblets out there. Little
niblets.
And then see if they, that's another question I have for you. Attraction. Okay. Here's my main question. Mm-hmm. This is a blunt question.
Yeah.
Why is attraction such bullshit? Why are we attracted?
Why are we attracted to who we're attracted to?
Okay, so like if you're attracted to a certain type of person and that person is someone who has commitment issues, how do we change? Like, I don't want to say how do we change what we're attracted to, but like we all, I think deep down as women, like we all do want a nice guy.
Yeah.
But they're not necessarily the ones that make our hearts go like flutter, flutter. And like, that's something I'm struggling with personally. I'm just like, I just want to be attracted to, here's what it is. I want to be attracted to someone who's into me.
Yeah.
And that can be another hard thing to come to terms with. The whole, if they're not into me, I am not into them. Mm-hmm. And that is a hard mindset to get to. Yeah. I feel like.
That is a lot of teaching, but I always feel that the more that you educate yourself on being a high value woman, like you said, it's not necessarily knowing all these qualities and being this the next day. It's being aware of what these qualities are so that once you are behaving a certain way, you recognize it and then you can reverse it.
Yeah.
As we start working on these qualities with ourselves, we're going to start to be able to see that in the men. So you're going to be constantly attracted to if you're attracted to the bad boys, you're attracted to the damaged guys, or you're attracted to the emotionally unavailable, you're always going to be attracted. Is that ding ding for you? Emotionally unavailable? Yes, please. If you're attracted to that all the time, but you're never improving yourself, that's what you're going to constantly be attracted to. Once you start becoming a high value woman and you work every day for these qualities, you're going to be able to start recognizing those qualities in a man so that you're going to respect it, which is going to bring on a lot more attraction that way.
Right.
But, oh gosh, I just lost my train of thought in regards to that. But yeah, you're going to start to see that and then be attracted to that. Also, this whole like butterfly, I want to meet him and all these chemistry. And I'm just like, that's just product of culture. That's product of what we've seen in movies.
Yes.
Product, like, you know, like once the butterflies go away after 2 months, you're like, this relationship is over because it sucks because we're not putting any effort in. No, it just means that all of those, you know, chemicals that are brought about when you're around somebody that you're attracted to have just dissipated because you've gotten used to it.
So true.
But, you know, on all the romantic comedies that we watch, it stops once he gets the girl. It stops once they get married. It never talks about all the other more beautiful aspects of relationships that we need to work towards.
Oh, my gosh. You're so correct. Oh, my.
You got deep, girl.
I'm always down to get deep. I just think, like, I think the main thing that I've learned through, like, doing your workshops and, like, what you offer is, like, so much of dating and succeeding in dating is self-work. And I think a lot of people don't necessarily realize that. And like, oh my God, it's so real. like when you actually dive deep, that list, there was one of the Wing Woman workshops, there was the list of like your, what was it? Frozen 5. Mm-hmm. I say that to every woman and we all have trouble with it, which is getting down what you want in a relationship. In fact, I still don't really know what I want. What if you don't know what you want? Because, okay, and this sounds sad, I'm just going to be honest, but let's say you just haven't had a lot of healthy, happy past relationships, so you don't really know what works. You kind of know what doesn't, but you don't really know what works because maybe it's just never worked. How the heck do you figure out, like, what your ideal partner is, because I still don't know. Like,
Yeah.
I have a couple things.
I think instead of, okay, so it's interesting. A lot of people think that figuring out what they want in a partner is a menagerie of their past relationships. And there's some aspects of that, but that just makes it more tricky the older you get and the more relationships you've had. What I want people to do when they're figuring out those frozen 5 of really figuring out what they enjoy is reflecting in on yourself and what makes you happy. And so, for example, one of my biggest frozen 5 is high novelty seeking.
Yes.
So that is pretty much one of my number one. If I'm out with a guy and he's up for like fun, which is like if you're going for a walk along the waterfront and I'm like, oh my gosh, they have those scooters, let's jump on the scooter. And he's like, yeah, let's do this. If that guy is like, ooh, but we didn't plan scootering today, I'm not wearing the proper footwear or whatever, that will never work out because my entire life is jumping into hot tubs that I'm not supposed to be in and like scootering and like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just knowing yourself a little bit more. So it's all going to grow as we kind of get to know ourselves. What would be your number one frozen 5?
It's tough because, like, I have the list somewhere. But one thing that I realized recently that it might not have been on the list, but something that's really important to me is, this is really random, but they can't think the things I love are dumb.
Oh, I remember you saying that.
Like, I can sometimes go 15-year-old girl, like dance around to Taylor Swift, or like I'm a fangirl sometimes. And if you think that that's like, you just got to have the attitude of like, she likes what she likes and that's fine. Not, why do you like that?
Yeah.
Like,
and
judging
that man that sees you dancing around like a 12-year-old and just thinks, oh, that's my girl, you know?
Exactly.
Because it's adorbs. That's adorbs. Like, who wouldn't find that adorable?
Well, that's just it. And I think like, I think that's something amongst women, which is so common, is this sort of like, I've always felt like I'm a girl's girl. Girls love me. Gay guys love me. And everyone's complimenting me all the time. But straight men are just like they don't seem as into it. Mm-hmm. And I think that women can get into this mindset of going, and I wrote this down as a question for you, which is, how do we get out of the mindset of what is wrong with me? So getting into that loop in dating where it's like, I'm so great. People tell me I'm great. And I deep down, I know I'm great too. But like, what's wrong with me?
Yeah.
I think so many women, specifically in their 30s, can get into that. And then that can be a real lump in dating.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lump of frustration. And like,
oh my gosh.
Like adverting the blame.
I even remember before I started really educating myself in this industry and really educating myself in dating and being the best partner for somebody. It was the same thing. Like whenever somebody rejected me, I was very much like, what is wrong with me? And I'm a curvy girl, so I only attract curvy guys, or guys who like curvy girls. And that's cool with me, so long as you just accept that, you know, I'm not going to be everybody's cup of tea. It doesn't mean that anything is wrong with me, because there have been, like, I'm a curvier girl and I've had no problem with the vitamin D. You know what I mean? Like through my entire life, I can always get a man if I want to, regardless, you know, because of the curves or in spite of, or whatever the saying is. But at some point when we move into really personally growing, we're going to have to think about the what's wrong with me. And I don't think it's more so like deep into your identity, but it has more to do with your behavior, which is definitely manageable. So in regards to like your personality is your personality. Your desires and your dreams and your goals is you. Never ever change that. You know, your look and your style and all of that and how you carry yourself is all you. Never change that. But we can absolutely, definitely change our behavior based on the knowledge that we have of the other person.
Oof, that's true too.
Yeah. So educating yourself on how men behave, why they behave what they do, understanding why they're attracted to what they're attracted to, and just adjusting. And I know everybody says also horrible dating advice, not horrible, but just be yourself. Great dating advice in theory.
I love that.
When you go into the professional, okay, so you are yourself. So Sarah with your friends is amazing. Sarah saying to some, you know, waiter something about meatballs. I remember that.
Oh yeah, yes.
then you're going to go into your professional world of party planning or event planning, and you're going to dress differently, you're going to walk differently, you're going to talk differently than, you know, the Sarah you are with friends.
Right.
It's the same, like, you know, when I'm interviewing someone for matchmaking, I am not, you know, the gal on TikTok or the Jean-Eva with my best friends or my family. I am, you know, these different identities. So when I move into the dating world, which is literally its own thing, entity altogether, I have come to understand men, why they do what they do, and how they respond to certain things. And I've just adjusted differently. And as you adjust, you can see how people react to you. And this is what naturally people do as they grow older. Like junior high is awkward for a reason because we have no freaking idea how to behave socially.
It's true.
And then you get into high school and that stuff gets better because you've learned the social cues in that. It's the same with dating. You got to learn these cues and learn how to interact properly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, one thing that I've stopped doing is this
as yourself. Like if, like you said, what's wrong with me? It's not you. It's just, you know,
it's like an extension of your behavior that's causing the problem, probably. Because I know with me, like I'm very self-deprecating, but I've realized lately that I've started just faking it until I make it.
Okay.
Which I used to not believe in, but the actual negative self-talk is, I think, one of my main issues. So I've stopped doing that.
See, you don't like the self-deprecating. I kind of think it's funny, cute.
Well, I find that men don't like it.
Oh, because then they think they have to fix it, probably.
I find that it hasn't done me any favors with men.
Really?
No, and I actually like I'm one of those people. I just firmly believe that confidence is like a sliding scale. Like you can be depressed but also be confident. I believe that. You can be going through some stuff but still be happy with yourself. You can make fun of yourself and still think you're a woman of value. So yes. I've started trying to just, you know, kind of combine those and put out a different vibe. We'll see how it goes. I don't know. It's really tough.
I remember I was dating this guy. Gosh, I guess it was like it was probably 7 years ago. Anyhow, I'm just like 2 years ago I was dating this guy, and then I realized no, it's 7 years ago. And when he and I first met, he was very sarcastic. So everything he said was sarcasm, and everything was a joke. And then he did what you did, and he was like, "Oh, I'm going to stop being sarcastic, and I'm going to have some serious conversations." And it was 6 months before I saw him again because I went out to Calgary and came back. And then he had a completely different attitude, and it was more attractive. And it was more attractive that he decided to be that way.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just that decision you have to make.
Quality that you're adapting.
That's so true. Oh my gosh. And if anyone in the chat has any questions for Jean-Eva, now's your time. Ask away.
Ask some questions, y'all.
Yeah, because she's here and she has tons of knowledge. Do you have any other ideas for Zoom dates other than skip the dishes delivery? Are there any other cute ideas that you can think of for people to go on, like Zoom or FaceTime dates, activities, or anything?
I'm in the frame of mind too. So I had another matchmaking couple recently. The guidelines are loosening up a little bit. So this one gentleman bought a bottle of wine, and then sorry, people keep messaging me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Are they watching you as they message you?
Do you hear the ding? Yeah, they're watching. Not asking questions though, people. Questions.
Ask questions.
And he brought a bottle of wine and a charcuterie board. They both had hatchback cars, and they drove down to the waterfront, and they like hatchback their cars facing each other, and just sat there and enjoyed a bottle of wine.
I've heard about the car dates.
Mm-hmm.
What if you're a bitch without a car though? What about the walks? What do you think about the walks? Like the going on a hike, kind of apart from each other.
I think less so hike, because that's like, I think like going for a walk through the public gardens would be nice. You know, sitting on a bench would be nice, but that's based on comfort. So I do contact the dates. I'm like, hey, are you comfortable like meeting a person? If they're not, then I recommend House Party is a great app because you can play games while talking on House Party.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
House Party is just like Zoom and just like FaceTime, but they can play games like, I don't know, crossword and things like that. So cool. Other date ideas, my gosh, just sitting down and enjoying a glass of wine, playing like games together, like a card game together. I don't know. I think that kind of like summarizes it.
And
Glamour has a list of like 21 virtual dates that you can do.
Ooh, Glamour. Okay, look that up. I do want to ask you about one thing though. I saw one of your dating advices recently, which was about the texting, the fast texters.
Fast texter, that was yesterday's. Mm-hmm.
Oh boy, did that hit hard for me. Because guess who's a fast texter? Me! He texted me, better write back right away.
Yeah.
Me.
Yeah.
And that is so true. So you pretty much said that someone of value isn't sitting on their phone, like, ready to respond right away because you have other things in your life. You have hobbies and things that you're doing.
Yeah, and that's the kind of thing. I know a lot of people are like, okay, so someone texts me. How long should I wait to text them back? Like, if you're looking at your phone and you see the text come through and you have a response, text back. Like, come on.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, like, high value people, they don't have the time to drop their phone and text all the time.
Right.
So, like this gentleman, I would text him and he'd text back in 30 seconds. And it made me not want to text him because I knew that if I texted him, I would have to be available for the back and forth. So it actually pushed me away from wanting to text him an appropriate amount of time. Do you know what I mean? So that was just my mentality around it, because I feel that my mind, now that I'm a dating coach, works in a very masculine way. I can see what men think. So when you text back right away, which is totally fine every now and then, totally fine if you're by your phone. But if you text back right away, it actually, you're like, okay, well now I have to text back and now it's this conversation. So the next time you're going to actually think, okay, am I ready to get into a conversation right now? So the texting, you're actually causing the other person to put off texting you longer and longer and longer.
Right. Oh my God, that's fascinating. So
that's the psychology of it.
Do you think you're, like, in terms of the getting to I do thing, do you think you're more masculine than feminine?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I have so much crazy masculine energy. And that's the thing, is that women, we have to have masculine energy to survive the world.
It's true.
So back in the day, women could be feminine throughout their entire day because the men basically finance their entire lifestyle, and it's just really easy to do. But now, with the economy that it is, women are, building businesses, interviewing amazing comedians that are mostly men. So you have to bring that masculine energy when you're talking to them to keep that going.
Yeah.
They are, career driven. They're building their career. So when you're out all day, you're in a masculine energy to survive the world. But when I come home, I really want to take off that masculine armor.
Me too.
To just let me be feminine.
That's exactly me. I'm masculine in every other aspect other than dating, like other than relationships.
Yeah.
It's so weird. Yeah, that's crazy. We do have 2 questions in the chat. Ready for some? We got 2 questions, and then I'm going to let Jean-Eva get back to her day. So first question is, what advice do you have for any relationships that formed early on during the social distancing mandates, who've done the online dating, done the distance walk hike thing, and are missing touch? Ooh, they're missing okay, so how are we dealing with I think that's called skin hunger?
Skin hunger. If your love language is physical touch.
Oh, how should we be dealing with this? And actually, I'm going to add to that and ask your opinion on people breaking quarantine for hookups. And what are your thoughts? I need your thoughts. Your honest thoughts.
I think breaking quarantine is like, you got to think about it in an interesting way. It's like, hey, do you have any STDs? No, man. Like, no, I've been super safe, I just, like, it's the same thing in dating. So, like, if you're breaking quarantine with someone, they may say, yeah, I've been quarantining by myself for the last 2 months. But it's like saying to someone, hey, have you had unprotected sex in the last 2 months? And they're like, no. You know what I mean? Yeah. So do it if you want to at your own risk and discretion. Mm-hmm. It's just like an STD, I say. So if you're willing to take the risk, I say go for it, I guess. It's the same as STDs. It's the same, like, before quarantine.
Very true.
But in regards to her question or his question about the human touch, oh, that's hard. It's completely up to you.
Maybe just work on building those relationships so that it moves to a place of trust that you could potentially, and soon enough things might open up where you could be allowed on, a second or third bubble, and maybe then that person becomes your second or third bubble, and you can have that lifted kind of thing.
Yeah,
but it is tricky.
Is always smart, but also don't be afraid. And I had a couple of couples do this. Don't be afraid to take a break from the relationship until you can see each other in person. Yeah. There's a lot of people that have met at the very beginning. They chatted for a month and then naturally it fizzles out because you can't meet in person. And they're taking a break until they can meet in person in 2 weeks, a month's time. That's totally okay too. You can pick that up. It's totally okay. There's a chance you're going to miss out and they'll find somebody else. That's just the risk we take. Yeah. But everybody out there is missing physical touch. Everybody. Yep. I'm a physical toucher and I don't know how I'm making it, but somehow I've kind of blocked my brain to allow it. But I think it's just part of the struggle that everybody is going through. So the only advice is just to do it based on your discretion.
Yeah. Maybe get a weighted blanket.
Get a weighted blanket, get a first fuzzy friend. I don't know. Yeah.
We have another question here. This is interesting. This kind of ties into the masculine feminine energy. This is from my friend Brittany. Hope you don't mind me calling you in the chat, Brittany. How do you balance leading and following in a relationship? I'm in a lesbian relationship, so it's often hard to figure out who is in charge.
Oh, it's interesting that you Lonnie just said, I'm literally crashing with a bag of chips and beer watching this.
Oh, yay. Thanks for tuning in, everyone.
Everybody say hi to Lonnie, and you look super sexy with your beer and chips. So, oh gosh, I forgot. Oh.
Leading and following, yeah. And
now, this is not my expertise. I am actually working on getting an associate matchmaker that can focus on the queer community here in Halifax.
Perfect.
These are my next steps. I am not an expert in that kind of relationship. Harley, I'm launching my podcast, Book of Love is launching June 1st. Guest number 5 is Harley, who was my queer consultant for all of our speed dating events, our queer speed dating events we were having.
Right.
So she would be somebody that could really answer that question in regards to, a lesbian relationship. Mm-hmm. But in regards to leading and following, I think that dance is played in heterosexual relationships as well. And I think it's just recognizing how the other person reacts to you. So I know that my tendency is when somebody pulls away because I'm giving too much attention, I just pour on the attention more. Mm-hmm. The best thing you can do is also just give them space until they come to you. Right. I think it's just the natural human psychology of interacting with one another. And I doubt that answers the question. That was a deep psychological relationship question, which I'm not an expert in, but
I think you're right, because I think that you can also look into like love languages and attachment styles too.
Yes.
Figure out what yours are and what theirs are, and see how that meshes all together.
Oh, you're so good. It's right. The attachment style. If you can figure out what your partner's attachment style is, you can then react to how they're acting to you because you understand. It's the same with high value women. Once you understand what they're doing, you can react better.
And as long as you know that, you'll react in a certain way. So look up attachment styles and love languages, and talk about it with your partner. Maybe figure out which ones you are.
But I think based on that question, definitely attachment styles would be something to look up. Sarah, do you want to be a dating coach?
I would love to, but I feel like I'm not that credible. I need more dates on my resume before I can do that. But Jean-Eva, you got to come back on the podcast though soon, for sure.
Oh yeah, you got to come back on some night. So much fun.
Some night.
Are you going to be a guest on my podcast?
I would love to. Just know it might be sad.
Oh, that's okay. But it's going to be a matchmaking podcast. So when you're done, we're actually going to get people sending in emails that are asking to go on a date with you, and then I send you on a free date.
I'm down. I'm open. I'm ready to take a lover. I would like to take a lover. It's time. I'm 33.
Take a lover?
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready to take a lover. I just love that phrase, take a lover. That's what Whitney
you
Cummings
is. You have to finish the second half of your profile in the Book of Love, and then I'll find you.
You know why? Because I don't know what I want. I was actually on the section where it was like, describe your ideal partner, and I was like, So I'm still figuring that out. But I will be filling that out very soon. Don't you worry. So
cool.
Tell everybody, are there any upcoming events you want to plug? Obviously, stay tuned for the podcast, June 1st, Book of Love podcast.
Yeah. So the events, I'm torn. And tell me if anybody has any comments in this. I want to do a virtual one. We need at least a month to plan an event and to get everybody into it. So I can't plan an event for the next week. I do want to do a virtual event in June, but I have a feeling that it'll be an interesting dynamic if people will still want virtual or if they'll want in person by the end of June.
Right. It's so, and we still don't know what's happening, right? Like,
still don't know what's happening. So that's kind of in purgatory right now.
Mm-hmm.
But podcast is my favorite. It is launching June 1st. We're launching the first 3 episodes. Episode 1 and episode 2 are talking about how being a high value male and a high value female. So free dating coaching right now just by downloading that podcast, Book of Love podcast. We're going to be launching webinars here soon as well. That's going to go back into, I'm thinking, dating during quarantine, online dating mindset. But last time we did that went all the way down to Florida and all the way up to BC. So I really want to invest because I feel like that can go quite far.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been working on that for a while. And then the Book of Love is literally blowing up.
I'm so excited for you. I truly think this is like,
blowing up.
This is the year of you.
Yes, it is.
It's not everyone's year. I think it's your year.
No, I don't think it's everybody's year, but yeah,
you're killing it.
My year, and we're expanding all the way to Nova Scotia. So I want people from Bridgewater, Cape Breton, Kentville to come into the Book of Love because I'm going to be expanding speed dating events down to Wolfville, Bridgewater, and Cape Breton.
That's unreal. And you can find all the information about your business on, is it just jematchmaking.com?
Matchmaking.com. Everything is JE Matchmaking. So
follow her on social.
Will be on there. All on social. So Instagram is JE Matchmaking, Facebook is JE Matchmaking, TikTok is JE Matchmaking.
Oh my God, please follow her on TikTok. She's amazing. Jean-Eva, I can't thank you
enough.
There's
other ones that are on TikTok that never go on Facebook too. So
I love TikTok so much. I love watching them. They're so
you could make more videos. I loved it. I loved it. That little crying video.
Oh, there's more coming. I have a couple in mind. Thank you so much, Jean-Eva. We got to get on to our next segment, but I thank you so much for coming on. And
who's the next segment?
Next segment is Comedy Showcase, baby. I'm going to be playing a half-hour stand-up comedy. I'm going to take a big pee break and a snack break.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on so much. I love you so much. Thanks a million.
Okay, bye.
See you later.